good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget with your host, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget, brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capallet.
Thank you, Dialect, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in to part 2 of how to build and protect your wealth.
I guess we should add a cliffhanger to get
Oh,
people
yeah. Dang it. We should have. Well, here we are anyway. I'm glad you're tuning in, with or without the cliffhanger.
If you were wondering whether or not we were going to have a cliffhanger, dun dun dun, we didn't.
We didn't have one. I also appreciate if you're listening to part 2 before part 1. Thank you. So this part...
Wait, why are you excited for people to listen to part 2 before part...
No, I just like that. Someone was like, let me hear what part 2 sounds like first.
That's true. I like people who aren't afraid of spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. So part 2 is about how to protect your wealth. It's maybe a little less exciting than part 1, but I also have to say part 1 is also a slog. If you want the cliffhanger. I think that this excitement around making a bunch of money and becoming a millionaire and investing in the stock market and making a bunch of money in real estate, it's something that takes just as much time to build up as anything worthwhile does. We talked a lot in the last episode about things taking 20, 30, 40 years to build, and then for you to be able to pass it on to the next generation, it takes that much longer. So and I think that's what this all really is.
Well, and what you're reminding folks is that building wealth in this way is a discipline and not a project.
Yes.
Projects, I mean, even if projects take a while, they've got a pretty defined amount of time, and then once they're done, and you got what you got. And these things are disciplines that will create stuff for you, and it will be very tangible stuff, but it's going to be a while before you see it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think especially if you're someone who's going the route of building your own business and being an entrepreneur, that you keep in mind the other 2 ways to build wealth while you're building your business are also things that you should put energy and money into. Put money into the stock market. Have your IRA with you while you have your business. Plan for retirement. Plan for the next generation. Buy a house. Whatever it is, put money into that. So we are talking about protecting your wealth, and we do not have an investment appetizer this time. Sorry, spoiler. I don't know. That's all we got because we have a lot to cover today. So protecting your wealth is probably something that people don't want to think about because it's the idea that something can take away your wealth, and are there any ways to protect it? And there's 2 levels of it. So we're going to be talking very plainly and practically about insurance and estate planning. And insurance, I want you to think of as the thing that can protect against the things that can take away your wealth while you're alive. And estate planning is to protect against, it's protecting your future wealth for the next generation.
So there's the in case stuff happens, and then the stuff going to happen.
Right. And I guess the one stuff's going to, exactly. Well, and life insurance is the thing that, protects your wealth if you die suddenly. So the while you're alive part is kind of a little gray in that area. But insurance is really for that. And so when we talk about insurance and estate planning, it's often the most forgotten part of a financial plan. It is so critical to a financial plan to have these 2 things, but it's also the part of a financial plan that no one wants to think about, because no one wants to think about a bad thing that can happen. No one wants to think about their house burning down. No one wants to think about dying. No one wants to think about, getting sick. No one wants to think about, having your children have to pull the plug or whatever it is, or your family or whatever you have, And so I think that is why it's really important to mentally and emotionally start preparing yourself for thinking about this, because when you do, and when you finally get it all done, it's going to feel really good and you don't have to think about it again. But getting to that point where you feel comfortable thinking about getting life insurance and facing your own mortality, that shit's real. I just got life insurance and I was like, why has it taken me so long, right? And I think it's because I didn't want to think about dying. And I didn't want to think about that. When we put together our wills for the house, right? And having to do that. having to like name each other as our beneficiaries and thinking about like what happens if we both die, then what? Right? What happens if I'm, like I'm a vegetable, whatever that is. So when it comes to these things, it's a very, very important part of your financial plan, because otherwise stuff doesn't get passed on. Things don't happen. The next generation doesn't get this stuff. So we're going to go to a song real quick. I know that was a quick beginning, but we got a lot to cover in the middle meaty segment. So take us to a song, Dialect.
All right, we're going to start off in Minneapolis, Minnesota, home of some great hip hop with, I really appreciate this guy's name, Breakneck the Mage.
Whoa.
Yeah. From his record, Protecting Metropolis, this is Myself Today. And we'll check you in a minute. Brunch and Budget.
Shuffle through the puddles, say me your rebuttals, cause they'll get you into trouble. It's not a struggle, it's a pattern in a puzzle. Release me from this muzzle, leave the other so befuddled. And I rush it on the double, no reason to be subtle. Gotta crush them so I'll never stumble. It's a jumble, navigating jungles, trying new paths, branching out so I stay humble. And I find myself searching for a movement. Everything's fluid, keep moving like I gotta do it. I know it's useless, the fights that we're losing. Looking for an avenue to lash out and prove it. The people I cool with tell me I'm the truest. It's all about them and the naysayers fuel it. Jaded views, but it's obvious I'm lucid. I find myself constantly fighting off influences. It's where I find myself today. I'm just digging through my soul, trying to find me a better way. It's like, it's where I find myself today. I'm just searching through the crates, trying to find me a better play. Out the depths of your mind, through cortex and spine, you're more apt to find something dark than sublime. Today's an example, I stay on my grind, fighting off demons to keep me in line. They say that it's time, the revolution's mine. It's true that the evolution stays trapped inside. It's not about money, it's not about time, even though I need more of both. This is something else. If I was someone else, I'd stay living, have my own house with a dog and some children, stay more connected, my family would come visit, they'd be proud of the life I was living. That's not saying that I miss it, I'm chilling. People keep saying life's short, but it really isn't. I stay growing, the globe keeps spinning. I got many years for this story to be rewritten. It's where I find myself today. I'm just digging through my soul, trying to find me a better way. It's like, it's where I find myself today. I'm just searching through the crates, trying to find me a better play.
When it was over, all I could think about was how this entire notion of oneself, what we are, is just this logical structure, place to momentarily house all the abstractions. It was a time to become conscious, to give form and coherence to the mystery. And I had been a part of that. It was a gift. Life was raging all around me, and every moment was magical. I loved all the people, dealing with all the contradictory impulses. That's what I loved the most, connecting with the people. Looking back, that's all that really mattered.
It's where I find myself today. I'm just digging through my soul, trying to find me a better way. It's like, it's where I find myself today. I'm just searching through the crates, trying to find me a better play.
We're back, Brunch and Budget. That was myself today from Breakneck the Mage.
All right. And now we're going to talk about insurance. Woo!
Yeah, which a mage like Breakneck would probably need.
Yeah, for real.
Breaking necks all over.
Breaking necks. Is his neck broken or is he breaking necks?
I think Breakneck is his name.
Oh, okay.
Like he comes from like a long line. Like his ancestors, they used to do that for a living.
Oh.
Like, you know, like people
like
whose name.
blacksmith.
Exactly. Like people whose name is Smith, they were blacksmiths.
Oh, okay. So he was a neck breaker.
He's from a line of.
A line of neck breakers. All right. So they definitely need insurance, especially health insurance. No. Okay. So they probably do. But for insurance, let's run through the different kinds of insurance. And really, ultimately, insurance is a tool to protect your assets and assign the risk of loss to someone else, which is the insurance company. So it's basically trying to mitigate the financial risk of disasters and catastrophes happening to you, your stuff, your loved ones, whatever it is. And so the first level of insurance is you protecting yourself, and that is health insurance. We've done a number of shows on health insurance. We're going to go into it a little bit in terms of why it's important. But health insurance is you protecting yourself and your own body, and your mental health too. A lot of health insurance, especially with the Affordable Care Act, back in the Obama days, the Affordable Care Act. Every insurance company on the ACA is required to provide a mental health allowance. Then you can protect your loved ones with life insurance. So we'll talk more about life insurance in depth, and the difference between term insurance and permanent insurance. But you can protect your loved ones with life insurance. And then you can protect your income with disability insurance. And we'll go more in depth on that. But disability insurance is something that people more likely end up using in their life than life insurance, because you may not die, but you may also be injured to the point or get sick to the point where you can't work for a long period of time.
Well, that's more likely.
Yes. And so what happens when you can't work? Disability insurance can be a way for you to still get income while you're not working. And then you can protect your stuff. And this is renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, and auto insurance. Those are the three ways to protect your stuff. And then if you own a business, then there's insurance that you can get to protect your business, especially if your business is something that's not only generating income, but something that you see as creating wealth for you. You don't want to do something wrong, make a mistake, someone like hurts themselves in your store and you get sued, and there goes all of the wealth that you were trying to create. There goes your business. It goes bankrupt, right? So you want to be able to protect your business too, and think of it as an asset as much as you protect all of your other stuff and you protect your own self. All right. Dialect, are you ready?
No, I'm not at all ready.
Oh, okay. Well, then just shut it down.
Okay. That's the show for today. Peace.
Breaknecks. Bye.
Peace.
No.
No.
No. Nobody's ready. No one's ever ready to talk about insurance. I guarantee you. I'm never ready to talk about it either, but here we are. So let's start with health insurance. Health insurance. So the number one cause of bankruptcy, Dialect,
Is health insurance?
is medical bills.
No, we've
is
talked
people
about that.
not
Yeah.
having health
Mhm.
insurance.
Yeah, medical debt is the biggest thing.
Yeah. So there was this great stat when the ACA came out that so if medical debt is the number one reason that people file for bankruptcy, when the ACA was signed into law in 2010, it was a height of people filing for bankruptcy. 1.5 million people filed for bankruptcy in 2010. The ACA rolls out in 2011, and by 2016, the number of people filing for bankruptcy in the United States went from 1.5 million people to 770,000 people. Get health insurance, please. The number of bankruptcies got cut in half when the ACA came into law. That's how important health insurance is for your own financial stability. Forget building wealth.
And I know we've talked about this more than once, but it bears repeating.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the first thing. We talked about stability last time and building that floor. Health insurance is also a floor. Build it into your expenses. Build it into your savings cushion to have health insurance, because if something were to happen to you, health insurance is your first line of defense. So then when you move on, and let's say you have health insurance, you've gotten that covered, the next step is really disability insurance. And so disability insurance is one that's often forgotten. It also is often the one that insurance agents love selling you because it's expensive on the individual level, and they get a high commission from it. So you will hear a lot of insurance agents try and sell you disability insurance. It is a really important insurance to have, though, and there are ways around it. One way, so disability insurance, as I was saying earlier, is the insurance that protects your income and your ability to earn income. So what that means is if you were to get hurt and you couldn't work for a long period of time, and usually for disability insurance, long period of time is between, if you can't work for 3 months or 6 months, right? That's a long time to go without income. Then disability will start kicking in after a certain period of time. So you usually choose based on the policy how long you want to wait. It's called a waiting period until disability insurance starts paying you. And disability insurance will pay you up to 60% of your income based on how much you buy, essentially. So you can buy up to 60% of your income. We recommend doing that. And it will keep paying you for a certain period of time. And so however much you buy, sometimes it's 5 years, sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's until you're age 65 when you'd retire. And so the thing with disability insurance is you can get disability insurance. Often your job covers it as a benefit. So a lot of companies, especially larger companies, will provide disability insurance as a benefit. They either pay for it or you can buy a very inexpensive group policy through them. It's not something that they make you do. It's not mandatory. It may not even be something that they mention after the first day. But it's something to look for in your benefits to see, hey, can I buy more disability insurance? Because it can literally be like a few dollars a paycheck to make sure that you are getting paid 60% of your income if something were to happen to you. Now, if you don't have access to that, or if you work for yourself, thank goodness for Freelancers Union and other professional associations. So Freelancers Union is a way to get really cheap disability insurance because they've been able to, because they're an association, buy a group disability policy, and they're able to offer very low rates for anyone who's a member. It's free to become a member at Freelancers Union. And what this means is you can buy disability insurance that kicks in after as little as 30 days and will pay you for up to 2 years and will pay you 60% of your income for that long. Now, 2 years is a long time. It's also not a very long time if you get, total disability, but it will cover you for the basics for 2 years until you can figure out what you need to do next. So that's one thing to think about in terms of just getting a very basic group policy. If you do want to get more coverage beyond 2 years, you can go to a place like Policy Genius and just get quotes for individual policies. So that's where you'd get it. It's one of those benefits and one of those insurance coverages that people don't talk about very much. I feel like that I talk to a lot of clients about it and they're always like, what is that? And it's one of the things that you're going to more like, hopefully not, right? But it's the insurance that people end up using more likely than they end up using life insurance. So disability insurance, definitely get it. Check your job. Check out Freelancers Union. If you have some kind of professional designation, like if you're in the financial services industry, if you're a therapist, if you're a psychologist, if there's associations, if you're in SAG or Equity, I know SAG and Equity definitely have group disability policies. Check out the associations that you belong to too, and they often massage therapists. I have clients who have disability insurance through there. Check out any of the associations you have because a lot of them also have great disability policies that you can buy into. So that's disability insurance. Woo! Exciting, right? No? Okay.
Well, it is exciting. Well, the problem with a lot of these, though, and I want to ask about is a lot of people are excited in the negative fashion. Most of these insurance companies have reputations that they don't pay out, that people aren't looking out for you, that they're scams at heart. And you're like, well, you need to build up this base, and this is another floor. You haven't enough money to do that. But why should I do that, and when should I do that, and how do I know that this one isn't one of the scammy ones?
Yeah, that's a wow.
Easy question, simple stuff.
Yeah, right. How do I know I'm not buying into a scam? Well, I think
because many of these ones are legal but are scams.
right. No, you're right. And I think when it comes to disability insurance specifically, because that's what we're talking about, right? I think it's insurance in general. I think it's
I'm meaning all the ones that you've spoken about, but yeah, disability is definitely a big one of them.
Yeah, I feel like that going with the bigger companies and companies that have a good reputation, like Guardian, Mass Mutual, Northwestern, MetLife.
But what about how none of them have a good reputation in my community?
Oh, well, I think I think in your head it may make sense to have a separation between the agents who try and sell you the policies and the actual insurance companies themselves. Because the agents themselves are working off a commission and they're trying to get as much money out of you as they can, right? But the companies that I mentioned are also really have a great reputation for paying out when someone actually does need the insurance. And that's why I say go with a big company that has a good reputation. Like, I remember we were talking to, we actually have done workshops with Haven Life. They've sponsored workshops for us. And one of the things that they said that I thought was really interesting was it costs Mass Mutual less money to just pay out the policy than to try and fight you for it. It's not worth it to them to try and not fill a claim.
So similar to when we're looking at our banks, you have to look at what's the incentive for them.
Yes, exactly. So the incentive on the agent level, because there's two levels, right, is the actual insurance company and the agent. And this is why I tell you to go to places like an association or freelancers union or Policy Genius, where there's no agent trying to sell you more than you need. You just go in, put in your information, calculate your income, and figure out like, okay, so this is it. That's what I need. And so I think that it's important to understand insurance and buying insurance on those two levels. The companies that I mentioned are really reputable for paying their claims. So if you're worried about that, that is less of a concern than if someone tries and sells you too much insurance and the wrong kind of insurance. And speaking of the wrong kind of insurance, life insurance. Now, this is the minefield, I think, that a lot of people may have gotten or feel like they've gotten scammed on.
Well, I mean, definitely, because life insurance, right? Like, I mean, most people don't die, so.
Yeah. No, exactly. Well, and again, life insurance can be really cheap. And the reason why is because insurance companies know that 90% of the time the policy doesn't pay out, right? If you buy a term policy. But that's not the point. The point is, just like when you get like auto insurance or renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, like you're not having an accident every day, right? So you're not using the insurance every day.
I don't know if you've been around me for a week.
Our auto policy is really expensive. No. We are...
I guess not a car accident every day, I guess.
Yeah.
There are different types.
Yeah, different. Exactly. You don't get into a car accident every day. Mostly. So with life insurance, the thing with life insurance is... Your thing with insurance in general, right, is you're hoping that you never have to use it. And that's the shittiest part about having to pay money for it. You're like, oh, I know I need this, but I'm hoping that I never need this. So I'm paying money into a thing that I'm hoping I never have to use. This sucks, right?
That's quite a luxury.
Yeah, I guess so. Or an expensive necessity, right? Because if you were to die or someone whose income you're relying on was to die, that's what life insurance is protecting. It is protecting your loved ones in case you were to die, and they had to handle the bills on their own, take care of the family on their own, pay the mortgage themselves, all of that kind of stuff. So really, first, before you figure out what kind of life insurance you need, is figure out what you need it for. So do you have a spouse? Do you have children? Do you have other family members who rely on you for your income? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have debt that you're co-signed on, like student loan debt or credit card debt or whatever it is? So if you answered yes to any of those questions, you probably need life insurance. And then it's a question of what kind of life insurance. Now, there's two kinds. There's two main kinds. There's term insurance, which is you buying life insurance for a certain period of time. let's say 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You pay for that amount of years and then it's done, right? You're like, okay, I bought it for the amount of time that I needed it for. I didn't die in that time. My kids are in college. Hooray! Life insurance is gone, right? Or my mortgage is paid off. Hooray! Life insurance is gone. The other kind of insurance is permanent insurance. And this is where it can kind of get scammy. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm paying into this thing that I'm never going to use. This sucks. And an insurance agent has this product called permanent insurance, and it comes in the form of things like universal life, variable universal life, or whole life insurance. And they say, hey, you can buy insurance that lasts for your whole life forever. It's permanent. Plus, you can invest the cash value that it builds up, and that's the magic phrase that they use.
Ooh,
you can
invest.
Invest and cash value.
And everyone knows that invest means make money today.
Yes, right? Yes, that's what we learned. So you can invest the cash that gets built up into the stock market. Ooh, I know, right?
I can buy all the Snapchat.
You can buy all the Snapchat. Exactly. So then you get into this complicated thing of having your insurance also be an investment product. And it sounds like a good idea, except that life insurance is a thing that you have to pay every year or every month, or then it's gone, right? Not the same with an investment, which is also why we said last time, your primary home isn't necessarily an investment right away, right? But it's something, if you have to pay into it for it to exist, then it's not an investment. And I think that's the thing that you need to keep in mind when you're considering getting permanent life insurance is let's not mix the two up.
Yeah, so don't cross the streams. Don't do investments and insurance, because it's not just that it's too complicated, but it actually can mess with you. I mean, I guess it's like having a pizza bagel, right? Pizzas are a good thing. Bagels are a good thing. But if you get up in the morning and you have both your pizza, which is your dinner time thing, and your bagel, which is your breakfast time thing, what are you going to do at dinner?
I don't know. I think some people love pizza bagels.
Yeah, well, that explains things.
Don't put pizza on your bagel, I think is the lesson here.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't.
We live in New York. We have Lux.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No pizza bagels. And permanent insurance is a tool that you can use at some point if you have more than $11 million in your estate to help pay estate taxes. That's how we were using life insurance in private wealth management. And it makes sense at that level. So let's back up. First, we have term, which is purely life insurance. And then I mentioned a whole bunch of permanent insurance stuff. Life, whole life, universal life, variable life. Oh, and you can invest the money. Here's the catch. So I just bought a term policy. $18 a month for $500,000 of coverage. Right? That's nothing. I can find $18 a month most of the time. If I wanted to buy that same life insurance face value of $500,000 and it was a universal life policy, it would cost me $300 a month. Doable still, but really difficult, right?
I mean, that's way more.
That's significantly more than $18 a month. It's $300 a month. And if I stop paying that $300 a month, that life insurance policy is gone. It has lapsed. It is gone.
But I had all those investments. What happened to all my investments?
Well, after, 15, 20 years, it'll start paying for itself.
So I can't invest it for 15 years.
I mean, you are investing it for 15 or 20 years, but it won't start paying for itself when the investments won't have built up enough until 15 or 20 years later. So I hope you have that money. Doesn't it kind of sound like an investment account that you can't get out of?
It kind of.
Why wouldn't I just take the $18, put it into a life insurance policy, and take $300 minus $18? What is that?
What?
$282.
$282.
And put that into an investment account. And if I don't have the $282 next month, I still have my investment account and my life insurance policy. So that's the thing about crossing the streams. I like that. Crossing the don't do it. Don't cross the streams. So then you have whole life insurance. And whole life insurance, if I wanted a $500,000 policy of whole life insurance, that would cost me $1,500 a month. Every month.
All right, that's too much.
That's just, I don't have that. No, I don't have that. And if you can't pay that, there goes your life insurance, and there goes the cash value that you thought you built up. Because, you know, if you put in $1,500 a month, first of all, with these insurance policies, the first 2 years of the policy for permanent life insurance goes all to commissions and fees. So you don't see any of that cash build up for the first 2 years. That's a long ass time that you have to put $300 or $1,500 into that policy. And then you have to keep doing it for another 15 to 20 years before hopefully it starts paying for itself. And it only pays for itself so long as the investments in it are doing as well as your insurance agent said they would.
Well, remember the thing we were saying about floors. And that's why I was
Yes.
asking earlier about the scamminess involved in all of these things, is that none of these things, because as Pam is giving you the horror story, there are certainly people who benefit greatly from whole life insurance. And it has to do with where your floor is.
Mm-hmm.
When you've already got everything else taken care of and you've got other money making you more money doing other things, yeah, you'll be able to afford $1,500 to put down. And it will feel like how Pam feels right now putting $18 down. Because I don't know about y'all, but I remember times when $18 was a lot to scrounge.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I mean, I couldn't handle that when I was in college or when I was 22. So yeah, no, that's real. And I think when I was doing private wealth management, $1,500 a month, people were like paying the whole premium in a year. People were putting in like $20,000, $30,000 a year because you get a discount if you put it all in a year, right? And it's because they had that money. They had taken care of all of the investments. They had maxed out their 401ks.
Wait. There's lead burying happening. Wait, what? The discount? What's the discount?
Oh, well, if you pay the entire premium up front instead of paying it monthly, then it costs less.
See what I'm saying?
So if you have $18,000 lying around every year.
When you're looking at floors, you really have to be realistic about what your floor means. Yeah, maybe you can swing $1,500 a month. Maybe that's something you can possibly pull off if you work your butt off. But if you look at the yearly number and you don't think, oh, I can just do that now, then maybe don't mess with it.
Maybe don't get whole life insurance. Not right now. Not right
Yeah,
now.
but I'm saying, though, if you're at the point and you look at that yearly number and you're like,
Done.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. No, that's when you want and need permanent insurance, I feel like. And that's when I've seen it used. That's when I've seen it used most effectively. I feel like that we used it a lot in wealth management to basically protect wealth on the other side and get into estate planning and help people who had more money than the estate tax exemption pay for estate taxes through life insurance. And there's all kind of loopholes there.
Man, that sounds creepy. We protect wealth on the other side.
I know, right? Ooh, that's what we did, though. Yeah, so we can talk about that more in the estate planning section. But before we do that, there's a couple other kinds of insurance. Renters, auto, and homeowners insurance. Auto insurance and homeowners insurance you're required to get if you have a mortgage and if you have a car. You have to get those two things. So that's pretty much taken care of. Just make sure. We've done a couple episodes on insurance that we can link to.
And we're not the ones to come to for shaving the dollars off your auto insurance. There's a lot of places you can find that.
Yes, absolutely. I like to talk to an independent broker. I can put my broker's info in the show notes as well. But I like to talk to an independent broker and have them assess if I have the right amount of insurance or not. Because there's a lot of brokers who are just kind of, especially with the state farms and the all states where their loyalty is to agency and they're just trying to sell you a policy. There's a lot of them that will shave off coverage to get you to that premium number that you have in your head. They'll ask you how much you want to pay each month. And it's not that they're like doing anything magic behind the scenes. It's that they're taking away coverage that you may need. And so that's something to watch out for when it comes to all of these property insurances. Renter's insurance is the only one that's not required. So if you don't have it, please get it. It's really cheap. It can be as cheap as $5 in New York. It's really between $20 to $30 a month, and it will cover all of your stuff in case something were to go wrong, in case the house was burned down, in case you were burglared, whatever it is. It'll cover all of it. All of it. Okay. So that's property and casualty insurance. And then the final thing you can cover is if you have a business. And there are two ways to protect your business. One is with a general liability policy. And that is something where if you have people coming into a store or a physical place and they hurt themselves, then they can technically sue you for that. So you want to get general liability to protect your business in case someone would hurt themselves physically. And the other kind that most of us probably need as business owners is called errors and omissions, or E&O insurance. And especially if you feel like you're in a business where if you were to make a mistake, someone could sue you for it, like a professional mistake.
Yeah, and one note about this, about the floors thing, this is where you start calculating the floors a little bit differently. Because the thing is, now you're not protecting yourself against possible loss of the small amount of money you have. You're protecting your business against getting torn apart by folks asking you for more money than you got.
Yes, exactly. And that's what errors and omissions insurance is for, because people can sue you not only for the assets that you have, but future earnings. And so that's something to definitely pay attention to. So if you are in a business, a line of work where someone could sue you for making a mistake, then please get errors and omissions insurance.
Don't get gawkered.
Don't get gawkered. Oh man, that's so real. Ooh, let's go to a song.
I heard that is going to be the next, either the next American Crime Story, the Ryan Murphy stuff, or like it's going to be some sort of miniseries is the whole gawker ordeal. So you can hear about how people sue
while
folks
you're buying your
into oblivion.
insurance. Yes.
Make sure that you don't. Yeah, let's go to another song. We're going to let's go to Ghent, Belgium, or Gent, Belgium. I'm actually not sure which, for a song called Protecting Ground by Cuervo featuring GNZ and Turner with Mr. Penn. And we'll check you in a minute. Brunch and Budget.
A cada frase na folha da vida, cada ferida, cada escolha feita, o coração trepida, a voz eleita se deleita, cada base que intimida, lida com tua missão, que deve ser cumprida, cada palavra que perdida em remoção, não deixará que a emoção se permaneça tão contida, ação que reprimida, a vida em vão, na proteção do meu motivo vivo, cada minuto inativo, tão nativo que privo o momento decisivo que antecede a rebelião, a cada livro livre não, deixo passar, deixo pesar sem pensar no pesar. E apesar de cada texto fora do contexto corrosivo, cada pretexto do motivo, cada concretizar, aceito que brotar do peito é meu direito, não me antecipar. E a cada jeito que cada defeito de mim precisar, assim como deles preciso. Sem eles não sei onde piso, não me dou riso, não me improviso, a fim do fim me afastar. A cada verso que agilizo só pra me testar, me mantém vivo a rimar, a navegar no mar de pensamentos meus, que me perdoem os ateus, me aproximar daquilo que muitos chamam de Deus. A proteção do meu motivo me faz não me entregar.
Cada paso es en falso sin sentido, entonces nada tiene caso. Estirarse al fracaso y ser golpeado por un mazo, ahogarme en propio vaso, saber que nada alcanzo, sufrir sin un descanso, aunque también avanzo sin derrumbe. La lágrima se hunde, el aroma se confunde, amargura se inunde mi cuerpo. Aguantar más horas cuerdo, desatarme cuando duermo y que suene un estruendo terrible, que todo se termine, recorra por la vida sin derribe, la desgracia la esquive, tristeza me reanime, invadirme eso consigue, mi cuerpo se desligue, saliva solo sigue, escupiendo las estrofas, plasmando las enojas, alma me despojas, al abismo tú me arrojas y es lo que me hiere, perderme de placeres, atrapado entre paredes con tintero de mil crueles traumas, el sinónimo poeta siendo anónimo, tirando siempre al prójimo, eso suena lógico, vivir como un zoológico, eso es catastrófico.
No time to waste. In comes the clown with a tearaway face, protecting ground where everything is at stake. Tsunamis and earthquakes laugh at your army. Invisible soldiers are immune to bombing. I'm drawing the ninja silhouettes. Ha! What you wanna bet the death-dealing government sees you all as suspect. You're all replaceable, traceable, and incapable of seeing the big picture. Shocking like a light fixture. rock the Richter to make shelter for the underground GNC and torn up. Force your frame to get in order. Put the beast together and become a supporter. The feelings run so deep like the weight of water. Protect what you got, cause what you got you're gonna miss when it's not proper. Showstopper, got you protected with verbal weapons. Till the lessons and you're left to your own inventions. The therapist said that therapy is destined when the protester stops protesting. Ha. Therapy, therapy, who's therapy? Therapy, therapy, who's therapy? Therapy, therapy, who's therapy? Hellbound on the beat. GNC torn up, Mr. Penn. Soul therapy again and again and again and again and again and again.
And we're back, Brunch and Budget. That was Protecting Ground by Cuervo, GNZ, Turner, and Mr. Penn.
Woohoo! All right. So now let's talk about what happens when you actually do die. Yay!
Wait, you know what
The show
happens?
is so fun.
You know-
Yeah,
you know
go
what
into
happens
the
when
light,
you die?
all of that stuff. That's what they say, right?
Sure.
I don't know what happens.
Okay,
it's a
so
mystery.
you're in the light.
But what happens to your stuff after you die?
It goes into the light.
Oh no, it goes to the next generation if you properly estate plan.
No, I thought that no, wait, but everybody says you can take it with you. That's why, right?
Is that how that phrase goes?
Yeah, that's why
You
everybody.
can take it with you? No, I don't think that's how it goes.
Yeah, isn't that why we're a capitalist society and a Christian society? Because the whole point is to make a lot of money so you can take it with you to show off to God.
Yes, exactly. Show is over. That's what estate planning is.
Isn't that? I thought that was the point of life.
No, I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
No,
I know. It's okay though. It's okay.
this big wad of money I was going to show off to God.
Just keep it in your pocket. Oh
What if
my
I don't
God.
die with pockets?
Oh my God. What kind of world will we be in then?
Too many existential questions
I
here
know.
on the show. But yeah, let's talk about what happens practically.
Let's talk about what happens practically. So we had an amazing show with Bomo Prega Julius, who totally changed. And I always knew estate planning was important, mostly because that's what my CFP, my Certified Financial Planner textbook, told me it was important. But she put it into this context that I never thought about before. She truly believes, and I believe it now too, that a proper estate plan is the number one way to end generational poverty. Because we're never taught. Like, I had to convince my parents to do their estate plan because we're not taught that the way to pass on wealth is to make sure that you have these legal documents in place to do it properly.
Yeah, we try to do for our kids so that they didn't have to do like we did, but we don't think about what happens after that. And I find out what often ends up happening is we just have to start all over again.
Yeah.
Even if our parents, came to this country or came out of a situation or made life better for themselves and for us, we still find ourselves sort of in their situation.
Right. And often what I hear, the stories that we hear when we do these workshops, when I talk to clients, is their family member died, a parent died, and they didn't have a will, and they were in probate court for a year, and all of their assets got eaten up by court fees and things like that. And this is the wealth that you had built throughout your lifetime gets taken away by the court system almost as soon as you die. And so if you can properly plan an estate and make sure that all of that stuff is in place now, then you'll be able to rest easy knowing that your wealth that you are working so hard towards building, towards sacrificing, as Dialect said in the last episode, is going to the place that you actually want it to go. And that's why we need to estate plan. It's not for us. It's for whoever's next. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and also this is not necessarily for your peace of mind.
No.
This is for your a little piece of the action. This is for you to actually get up in it. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people who will sell you peace of mind before you die. And you can go into wherever you're going to go feeling happy about it and not being able to affect things. And that's cool if this is all about you. But if you actually want to help folks in future generations, if you actually want generational wealth to be a thing, if you want to uplift your community and all those types of things, then you got to create actionable stuff.
Yes, and this is how to do it. So before you even need to create legal documents, one of the easiest ways that you can pass on the assets that you've built up is to list beneficiaries. And the reason why is because, guess what? If you list a beneficiary directly, it doesn't even go through court. The person who you list directly gets the money as soon as you die. Doesn't go to court. No judge has to review it. No executor has to send it off. It just happens. And so when you can list beneficiaries, and the nice thing is you can actually list beneficiaries for almost all of your monetary assets. So you can list what's called beneficiary designations on your life insurance, on your deferred comp plans, on stock options, and on all of your retirement accounts. So your 401k, your 403b, your pension, your IRA, all of those accounts, you can list beneficiaries. And I highly, highly recommend not only listing a primary beneficiary, but a secondary beneficiary in case that something were to happen to that primary beneficiary. And generally, your primary beneficiary, if you're married, is your spouse. And then your secondary beneficiary, you want to directly list your kids. You don't want to list the guardian of your kids because technically that means that they can keep the money for themselves and don't have to use it towards supporting your kids if you were to die. So you want to list your spouse and your kids. Otherwise, list family members, list friends, whoever you want the money to go to. Make sure that their name is in there. You might need their social security number. You may need their birth date. Go through the rigmarole of getting all of that stuff. And then the other place where you can list a beneficiary is on your bank accounts and your taxable investment accounts. So it's called a transfer on death. Very straight to the point. You can actually list a primary transfer on death and a secondary transfer on death as well. Again, highly recommend doing that. A lot of banks are asking now. I know Schwab Bank has been poking me to do it. I still have to do it. But to list transfers on death on all of your bank accounts and all of your taxable investment accounts that are not IRAs or 401ks or anything like that. And that may take care of most of your assets. Now, the next thing is you have other possessions. You have tangible stuff, right? You have your car. You have a house if you bought a house. You have all of your stuff. And that is what a will takes care of. So first list your beneficiary designations. That's the easiest thing you can do tomorrow to make sure that most of your cash stuff is taken care of. And then set up a will. And it's most important to set up a will if you have kids. If you have kids, please turn off the podcast and set up a will like now.
Wait. If you have kids, please finish listening to the podcast as is your prescribed family time after dinner. Tuck your kids into their brunch and budget brand blankets. Give them a kiss on the forehead and then do that.
Okay, yeah. You can, yeah, okay, yeah. But, in that order, things need to happen. So, wills, if you have a kid.
We don't
or
have blankets, by the way,
kids,
just in case you're like.
we don't, I'm
Googling
sorry.
for-
I hope we didn't get your hopes up. So, basically, if you don't list a guardian for your kids, then the state decides who takes care of your kids if something were to happen to both you and the other parent, basically. So it's absolutely 1,000, and it's a crazy, morbid thing to think about. But please, please, please set up a will if you have a kid and name guardians. And then the other thing that you can list in a will is who gets your stuff. So this is particularly important if you have a car. I mean, if you have a house and maybe a car too. If you have that's a pretty big asset. But in terms of like who gets your stuff, it's really, really important to make sure that you have a will that lists who gets your stuff, who the beneficiaries are. So now that you have that taken care of, you list your beneficiaries, you list your transfers on death, you have your will, And I know this sounds like first you do this and then you do this. It's like, listen, it took me 2 years to get my parents to finish their estate plan. This is a long process. If we're just planting the seed now, good. Think about it for the next couple of months. Start asking your friends if they have their estate plan done. Start asking around for estate planning attorneys if you need to. Start the process now, because just know mentally and emotionally it's going to take months or maybe even longer than that. So then you have a healthcare proxy. And the healthcare proxy, this is something that comes into effect when you're alive, but you're incapacitated and you can't speak for yourself. And with a healthcare proxy, this allows someone to make healthcare decisions on your behalf in case you can't speak for yourself. Everybody needs this. There is a default. So you can have, the default is your spouse, and then your parents, and then your siblings, and then your cousins, and then on and on and on and on and on, right? But the thing is, if you don't have a healthcare proxy specifically listed, then someone can try and override that. The Terry Schiavo case, I always use as an example. If you all remember that, she was a vegetable. Her husband technically was her healthcare proxy by default, but her family said, no. We think that we know better what she wants, and we say you cannot pull the plug. And it became a whole big court case, all of this stuff, which would have totally been solved if she just listed her husband as a healthcare proxy when she was not incapacitated. So it's super, super important, especially if you have a non-traditional relationship, especially if you've been with your significant other for a long time and you want them to do it. If you don't want your parents to do it, if you want a specific parent to do it, if you want a friend to do it, because you know that they would be the one that's of sound mind to make these decisions, you need to list it on your healthcare proxy. And then the last necessary piece to your
Well, yeah, before that, in case you're wondering, if you do want to leave your healthcare proxy up to a Twitter poll, you could do that too, I'm sure.
I don't think there's a space for that in the healthcare proxy form. Not yet. No? Not yet? Maybe in a couple years. Okay. So then you have the power of attorney. And the power of attorney allows someone to handle your finances on your behalf in case something were to happen to you. And there's no default for this. So no one can pay your bills. No one can access your paycheck. No one can access your bank account. No one can pay your credit cards. If you don't have a power of attorney and something were to happen to you and you're the only one listed on your financial accounts, everything is frozen. They cannot handle anything. So if this is something that's a concern for you, a power of attorney is super important to have in place. Super, super important. Now, a good estate planning attorney will put together all three of these documents: a will, a healthcare proxy, and a power of attorney. LegalZoom is a good place to start if you just need to get these things in place for now until you find someone who can do a more robust estate plan for you. A lot of lawyers don't like LegalZoom. I don't blame them. It's not that it's taking business away from them. It's that LegalZoom is a machine, and machines do not know how to account for nuances or ask you questions that you're not thinking about. For instance, if you're in California or New York where the probate court system is awful and you own a home, maybe you need to put your house in a trust, right? Maybe you need to put it in a place where it avoids probate court altogether. And so when you have a more complex financial situation when you're alive, your estate plan is also going to be more complex and also going to require that you talk to a professional about it. An estate planning attorney is the best way to start and the best way to do that. So that is estate planning in a nutshell. Dialect, how we doing?
Terrified. Right?
Oh my god.
Everybody else terrified out there?
I know.
You're going to get sick and lose your ability to do what you love to do, and then you're eventually going to die, and then people are going to try to take your money away from your kids.
At every turn. Every turn, y'all.
Yay! Protect yourself.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why there's the protect side to building your wealth, because why go through all the trouble and effort and sacrifice of building it if you also are not protecting it at the same time?
Well, and while it does sound fun to build it, and while protecting it does sound like a whole next type of effort, yeah, that's part of the game of this, that people who don't want to go through this process want to just get it out of you as you're trying to build it. And when we look at protecting ourselves, there's all that debate, people talking about gun this and other forms of violence that, and, actual your physical life protection. And we don't talk enough about protecting our money, which is the way that most predators are actually taking advantage of us in this day and age.
Yeah, totally. I feel like we need to talk about protecting our livelihoods as much as we talk about protecting our lives.
Well, I mean, really, there are more people who are getting cybercrimed.
Mm-hmm.
People still call it cybercrime, which is funny because I think no one else uses cyber for anything else. It's just stuck in crime land. But rather than actual stick-up kids running up to you on the street.
Oh, yeah. I mean, identity theft. I mean, we've talked about the Equifax breach on this show, and identity theft is the #1 growing crime in the United States. It's, again, like it's an easy way for a criminal or someone who's trying to take money from you to take money from you. And beyond that, companies are doing this in legal ways, too. All the time.
Yeah, it's not just the criminal thing.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of predatory stuff out there, and if you can protect as much of your wealth as possible and keep as much of the money that you make as possible in your pocket, and you're able to pass it on to generations, you're able to be generous with it, you're able to build up your communities with it, then this is how we build the next generation of people who have to sacrifice a little bit less than we did, and on and on and on, right?
It sounds like a good way to start. So we'll finish with Protection by Dread Days out of LA, and we'll check you guys next week. Bunch of budget. Thanks a lot. Peace.
Now, you better guide them right now. Surround the world with love. It's time to ignite now.
Make the right selection.
Exclusiverecordings.org